it to Poland! Yeah.
That's why nobody loves America.
People like you.
Why, me?
Yeah, you're doing crazy shit. I mean, if you post that.
What do you mean if I post that? I will post that.
Oh, shit.
I love Poland. I wanted to just...
Have it!
So Alyssa and I picked up this G36 from S5 Tactical pretty recently, actually off of a guy from HK Parts. So it's actually given me a lot of pause and realization that the HK cloning market is a weird place right now, and it might be the most exciting it's ever been. I don't know. Why don't we talk about it? So today, this episode is going to be a little bit of weird, a little bit of a review, a little bit of a overview, and a little bit of a theory concept. We're going like brass facts edition on this, without the shooting B-roll. You're just going to get me, pretty much. Apologies if you have ADHD. I don't know. Maybe I'll flash some cool shit on screen for you guys. Maybe I'll play Subway Surfer over here. I don't know. Bear with me because I think this topic is actually quite interesting and nobody's really touching on it right now. If you've been a part of the HK cloning market for a while, you've seen some weird shit. Let's just be honest. It has come at a hefty price tag, typically. It's always been a rich man's game, but recently we're seeing a massive shift and maybe a huge revival of HK clones, and I think it's pretty much due to one company pushing the charge here. That's S5 Tactical, and if you guys haven't heard, which they haven't, to be honest, I'm just being fair here, I've got no relationship with the company. We bought this gun, we weren't given this gun or anything like that, but S5 hasn't done a really good job at marketing itself. Unless you're in the know, you really wouldn't know that S5 is making G36 clones. Yeah, they've got their Instagram page, but they haven't really done a ton of outreach, other than maybe a couple people talking about them, Desktop, for example. But yeah, I mean, this is some exciting stuff, and I feel like it would be bigger news than it is, but I've seen like 0 publications on it, or really anyone else talking about it from an authoritative perspective. So S5 Tactical is coming out with a pretty damn good gun, a pretty damn good G36 clone, albeit. They've had history of successful injection molding, and they are an injection molding company, and they somehow got the designs for the G36 and are making them in the USA here, actually in Arizona. And I have to say, after putting a couple hundred rounds through this thing, it's pretty freaking awesome. Now, I will say, it is a G36 clone, so it may not be as good as the original, but there's no rattling, no shaking. It's really high quality. It feels like a toy, but in a really beefed up cake way. The G36s, the original G36s, felt like toys anyway. But nothing shakes, nothing rattles, everything is just crisp, clean. We've got our MR556A4, and you put these side by side, it seems like they come from the same factory, if I'm being quite honest. Like the characteristics are there, the triggers, you know, feels the same. It's got that same German legal trigger where, don't worry, it's on safe, the chamber's checked, everything's clear. But Germany, where if you pull the trigger, I'll drop this down, but Germany, where you drop the trigger, right, which it's a heavy trigger, you can still put it on safe and all that. So like their attention to detail is there. You can also feel that kind of reset that only HK guns really have. That trigger design or the safety design where the safety, you can still actuate it even though the trigger's already been pressed. So yeah, it's a really damn good clone. And that's not even the best part. The best part about this is that it's under $2,000, which is crazy. Now, back in the day, if you remember, Tommy, good old Tommy Built, was building T36s, which are his version of the G36 clone, but those were going for like roughly on the street for about like $4 grand. So again, it was still a rich man's game, and there was some QC issues with those guns. Some serious issues throughout the entire production run where some worked, some didn't. You'll see people who love them, you see people who hate them, and they just never really seemed to be consistent, right? Fast forward, Tommy came out with the TP7 or MP7 clone, which everyone was super stoked about. Grand Thumb came out with an episode. Everyone came out with an episode on it. And no one got it to work. The thing was just kind of a paperweight for $7 grand, a $7,000 paperweight, which shot ammo that wasn't really that accessible. So it was what it was. And Tommy subsequently subsequently started to rebrand, and now Tommy is Oo, which, funny story, in Thailand when I was shooting a rally for Porsche, there was a guy named Oo, and he would always get on the radio whenever we were driving through a village and call out every little thing. He'd go, chicken on the road, granny on the road, rock on the road, rock on the road. No correlation between Oo from Thailand and Oo, Tommy's brand, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. So maybe there's some Thai connection there. I don't know. Ask Tommy. But basically, when it comes to who's making G36 clones right now, it's kind of just S5 and Tommy at the time being. Now, what gets me excited is there is a huge arms race to who can make the first viable MP7 right now. And S5 is not only doing the G36s, but they've teased an MP7, or their own MP7 variant. And also HK has been rumored to be coming or working on an MP7 for SHOT Show. So we're not too far from January from SHOT Show, and we have all of these companies racing to create essentially the most reliable MP7. Now, if you guys are familiar, this kind of sounds a little bit like this kind of sounds like what's going on with MP5s, or what went on with MP5s. You see, there was a lot of MP5 clones, and they had some spotty history, right? But all of a sudden, HK announces their MP5, or the SP5, that they're actually going to be coming out with for the civilian population. And it seems like that only ramped up the arms race for MP5 clones. Not only did you have the $3,000 true from factory HK option, but you had the $1,000 options like this Zenith, or like the $1,500 options, which are PTR, or like Mac. Mac is doing some for under $1,000. And you just have everyone coming out with these MP5 clones out of nowhere. Turkish ones, American ones, German ones, Italy ones I've seen. And so it's kind of interesting having seen the MP5 evolution and really how that's gone down and played out, and seeing the same thing with G36s, or dare I say the MP7. We are going to get an MP7, ladies and gentlemen. That I can assure you. What it will look like in the end and how it will function is going to be a curiosity, and who comes out with the first one that actually works is still up for grabs. So can Tommy Built, well, now, actually make his reliable MP7, or can S5 make one that's for the masses at a fraction of the cost? Or will they both be beat out by HK, given that HK doesn't turn it into some gay 22 variant, which they happen to do all the freaking time for some reason. You know, I talk to HK people and they say, no, HK, we want to love America. We love this. Yes, oh yeah, it's not true. We want to make American guns all the time. But you know what? What they say and what they do is sometimes different, okay? Just being honest with the HK guys, okay? I love you. Got your MR556A4. I love you guys, okay? Like literally we've got 3 HK guns in the single room. We've got as many HKs as the gray room at this point. So hold your horses if you're from HK. I love you guys. I'm rooting for you. I just want the MP7. But yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, and nobody's really talking about this arms race for HK clones. Now, this is not even including the HK91s or like the G3s, right? That's in its own category, and the cloning market on those has just gone crazy wild. You got, again, your Turkish clones, your American-made clones. I think PTR is pretty much leading the chase for those, I want to say, for reliable and trustworthy clones of like the G3 HK91 variants. But I could be wrong. I mean, I haven't checked on those guns in particular, and I'm just going to be honest, those guns never really tickled my fancy. G11s, this era, this 90s era, as well as kind of early 2000s era, the plastic polymer guns, have kind of always intrigued me. HK has really done a good job at like kind of creating era branding of their firearms, or at least the evolutions of their firearms. They have a distinct look and classification and identity to them, and all for it to accumulate back to just making ARs, which, go figure, they just went to an American design in the end. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on like HK products in general. If you think who's going to win the race to the actual MP7, if you think Tommy's going to make a comeback, or you think S5 is going to come out with theirs and it's going to be a banger right out of the gate, who really knows? But I do know SHOT Show this next year is going to be quite interesting. I would not put it past HK to announce an MP7 at SHOT Show. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I think that's going to happen. And if not, I'd be more surprised than if it didn't. That is why I think this is going to be an interesting time for companies like S5 or Tommy. I don't know what they're going to do to respond, but it seems like everyone wants an MP5 still, and there's a ton of companies that make MP5s, even though HK is making their own MP5. So it doesn't seem like that market has cannibalized itself as much as I thought when HK first announced their MP5. So really, if you have these three companies making MP7s, and they're all a little bit different, you know, HK I predict is going to be priced around the $5,000 to maybe $4,000 mark, maybe $3,000 like the MP5, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be around the $4,000, $5,000 mark. Tommy with a comeback still maybe $7,000. And S5, since their branding, since their bread and butter is injection molding, and they seem to have done a really good job with this gun, the G36, or their own variant of the G36, and for under $2,000, I wouldn't be surprised if they can pull off an MP7 for around $2,000. I really think that they've proven themselves with this gun, and from what I've seen, customer reports on this on Reddit and some of the HK forums, people are really liking this gun. Again, I've only put a couple hundred rounds through it. I can't speak for reliability right now. I've had one malfunction due to this ejection port. People have said to shave off a little bit more on it, so that way the rounds or the empty brass can eject out and have a much clearer path to kick out the gun. But if you're shooting like something with a high back pressure can, these shells are going to be extremely aggressive in coming out and bounce right back into the chamber. Despop had an issue with that. A lot of people have reported that kind of issue, but the solution is to shave off this little brass deflector a little bit more, so that way if you're having an aggressive ejection, the brass can just kick out, you know, out to your, what would be 4 o'clock position. So that's something to note, you know, if you're getting an S5 Tactical G36 clone, check that out. But another thing to note is the HK aftermarket is actually making a huge comeback. I don't know if you guys realize, but B&T is actually a big aftermarkets manufacturer for HK products, and B&T has an incredible support system here in the USA for these products. This is a B&T rail, of course B&T suppressor, with a direct thread mount option to the G36, or at least the thread pitch. B&T also has a top rail option and some stock replacements or adapters. And Dan Haga is actually coming out with a stock and a brace variant for this, which we'll hopefully get here soon. I think it'll be really cool. It'll be a direct mount to the G36 instead of the Picatinny rail. Right now I have the Picatinny rail, so it works. But yeah, HK parts and B&T parts are supplying the G36 market with a ton of options. It really has led these guns to be very customizable, which I'm very surprised at. And with FRTs and all that stuff, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody makes an AR-15 lower for these, that you can drop in an FRT and somebody can do some bolt magic to get this to be able to take traditional cassette FRT or something like the AS design trigger. So FRTs are not far from this platform, I think, and I would predict in the next year you're going to see FRT G36s being a viable option. So it's really cool. It's really cool. The G36 market is trending upwards, guys. If you've been interested in one, it's probably the time to do it. S5 Tactical has done a really good job with theirs. It's an affordable G36 model, really cool. And if you guys have wanted an MP7, save some schmeckles, you can get the SBR variant without having to pay a tax for it. So that would be really freaking cool. Yeah, I think HK fanboys are in their heyday. It is their prime time. 2026 is going to be an exciting year. 2025 has already been an exciting year if you're an HK fan, and I would consider myself an HK fan for sure. I like German things. I don't know if you guys have seen. I've been shooting photography with my Leica for a little bit now, and it's been great. So I did a couple gigs from Luftgekühlt. Just came back from there, so did some Porsche projects there. That was pretty awesome. But anyway, guys, yeah, let me know your thoughts on HK and the aftermarket of HK. What do you guys think is going to happen with the MP7 and the arms race for the MP7? I don't freaking know, but I'm here for it, and I hope you guys are too. Drop a comment below. Help us grow the channel, guys. I got to 1,000 subscribers, which, woohoo! Grunt birthday party, woohoo, headshots. Thank you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. Let's see if we can push it to 2,500 by the end of the year. I don't know. I trust you guys. You trust me. if you guys do, I'll keep on coming out with episodes, and we'll keep doing this on a weekly basis. So Alyssa beats me to do her episodes, but hopefully I can pay for rehabilitation if you guys subscribe. Who knows? Anything could happen. Anyway, guys, love you. Love you long time. And I'll see you on the flippity flop. Michael Scott. Parkour!